Hey there, you true crime loving foodie. Are you ready to talk about a new case over a new recipe?
I hope so, because that's just what we do in each episode of Killer Bites.
Today I'm going to tell you about Amber Hagerman's case while making Guy Fieri's famous apple pie hot dogs. And let me tell you guys, they're pretty crazy.
If you want to follow along, the recipe is in the description below.
Do you ever get those loud alerts on your phone out of nowhere and absolutely lose your cool?
I do, and let me just say, they scare the bejesus out of me.
I'm sure you already know this, but most of those obnoxious alarms are for weather advisories, silver alerts, aka missing old people, or amber alerts, aka missing children.
But did you know the term Amber Alert was named after a little girl who went missing back in 1996?
Keep watching to learn her story. At 3:10 p.m. on January 13th, 1996, the 9-year-old Girl Scout Amber Hagerman hopped on her pink bike and rode away from her grandma's house.
Accompanying Amber was her 5-year-old brother, Ricky.
Amber and Ricky absolutely loved riding their bikes, and it was pretty common for them to cruise around the area like that.
But this day in particular wasn't common at all.
So Amber and Ricky said they were going to cruise around the block, but when they noticed a sick ramp in the grocery store parking lot nearby, they were like,
we have to go.
They pedaled around at an abandoned Winn-Dixie parking lot in Arlington.
At one point, Ricky decided to head back to Grandma's house, but Amber didn't want to leave yet, so she told her brother to go without her. Well, as soon as Ricky left her in the parking lot, some dude pulled up in a truck.
He got out, ripped Amber off of her bike, and forced her into the cab of his truck while she tried to kick her way out.
A man named Jimmy, who lived across the street, saw the whole thing go down through his chain link fence.
He called the police and reported the abduction. Jimmy said the man was in his 20s or 30s, stood less than 6 feet tall with a medium build, and was either white or Hispanic with brown or black hair.
The suspect drove off with Amber in a single cab black truck at 3:18 p.m.
Jimmy described the truck as a 1980s or 1990s full-size fleet-side pickup truck with a short wheelbase. The rear glass was clear with no sliding window, and the truck was in great condition without any damage.
Now, if you put 2 and 2 together, Amber left at 3:10 and was taken at 3:18.
That means she was abducted just 8 minutes after leaving her grandma's house. 8 freaking minutes! How terrifying is that?
After the police were notified of the incident, they drove to the parking lot where they recovered Amber's pink bike.
Shortly after that, Amber's family was informed and a huge search ensued. Over 50 police officers and FBI agents combed the area looking for Amber, along with family members, friends, and concerned citizens. Pink balloons and ribbons were strewn about the city in honor of Amber's favorite color.
Amber's parents, Donna and Richard, were hopeful their daughter would come back to them alive, but about 4 days later, their hopes would be crushed.
Late at night on Wednesday, January 17th, a man named Jerry was out walking along a creek when he saw something floating in the water. It was the bare body of a young child with dark-colored hair. Amber had dark brown hair.
Jerry called the cops to report the body, and they came out ASAP.
Officers were able to quickly identify the body as Amber Hagerman using a fingerprint card Amber's parents had previously filled out in case of an emergency.
The exact location she was found at was about 4 miles away from the Winn-Dixie parking lot. Investigators noted Amber had slashes all over her neck and was completely nude except for one sock on her foot.
Based on the look of things, in addition to witness statements from nearby workers, officials determined Amber was dumped upstream and traveled north.
The tricky part about this case is there was a huge storm earlier that night, so a lot of water was flowing through the creek, which meant any forensic evidence that could have been used to find the criminal had
completely washed away.
Well, isn't that amazing? After the initial crime scene investigation, Amber's body was sent off for an autopsy, and Amber's parents were informed.
Amber's dad, Richard, was in denial. When reporters asked him some questions after the chaplain left, he even said, "She's still alive."
He went back inside his home, and over time, the devastating news became real.
Medical examiners ruled Amber's case a homicide and determined she had passed away after suffering several deep slashes to the neck.
A man who lived in Amber's grandma's neighborhood said, "It's just so overwhelming to think that somebody could do something like that to a small child. I hope whoever has done it is caught quickly."
This was such a shocking event for the entire town.
And now the detectives face a seemingly impossible task, figuring out who the hell did this and why.
From the get-go, investigators suspected Amber was nabbed by a stranger, which made things much harder because the police didn't know where to turn.
At the same time though, it's maybe a little bit better that a stranger did it, right?
Not to rank crimes, but I feel like it's always a hair crazier when someone who the kid grew up with is the one who abducted them.
Regardless, it's terrible that things like this even happen, but it always hits me a bit harder when it's someone close, so at least it wasn't like her uncle or something.
Anyway, there were over 30 FBI agents searching through records of past offenders who were recently released, because it would make sense for someone who is known for abducting little girls to get released and immediately abduct a little girl. But detectives found no solid leads with that. They tried to see if there were any additional witnesses unaccounted for, like people at the laundromat nearby, but to this day, Jimmy is the only person to have reported seeing anything happen to Amber, although the police think there are more witnesses, they've just been too scared to come forward.
A lot of people who went to the nearby laundromat were illegal immigrants struggling to get their citizenship, so you can imagine why they'd be scared to talk to the cops like that.
Yeah, that's tricky. Do you risk possibly outing yourself and getting deported, or stay quiet and fly under the authorities' radar?
Sadly, Jimmy is now deceased, but his statement has helped narrow things down quite a bit, and people are forever grateful for his actions in trying to help locate the mysterious man who took Amber.
With Jimmy's statement, the police had two main things to go off of:
a description of the man and a description of the truck.
In the beginning stages of the investigation, Oklahoma City police got a lead about the vehicle. There was a black truck with Texas tags that was impounded by a towing service. It sat at the towing business for 2 days until one of the employees was like,
"Wait, this matches the description from the truck in that abduction down in Texas."
The truck had tinted windows and red stains on the inside, so there were definitely some sketchy elements to suggest it was used for something illegal. And the reason the truck was impounded was because of a domestic call that ended in an arrest, so it seems like all the pieces were falling in place.
A violent man with a black truck? That's exactly who the police were looking for.
And even though it was found in Oklahoma City, that was only a 3-hour drive from Arlington, Texas.
Unfortunately, the truck was searched and tested and no hits came back. This wasn't the perp's truck from Amber's case, and it was back to square one.
So a man named Sergeant Ben Lopez was on the OG task force that was formed to investigate Amber's case. He was extremely dedicated to bringing Amber justice and hustled his booty off to try and solve this case.
Ben and his team have looked into over 7,000 leads reported about Amber's case and crossed off pretty much all of them.
To this day, over 25 years since the incident, there is no suspect in Amber Hagerman's case, which is terrible to say the least.
But the authorities haven't given up hope. There is a dedicated tip line for people to call in leads regarding Amber's disappearance, and a $10,000 reward has been posted for anyone with information that could lead to an arrest.
Apparently, the authorities haven't gotten a single month without receiving a tip about Amber's case, so that makes me hopeful. At least people are still trying to help catch this awful criminal.
One of the biggest issues, according to Sergeant Ben Lopez, is the lack of witness statements.
He said, "We have one witness. All this time, we've only had one witness come forward to tell us what happened, what he saw."
If there's anyone out there that has information, even if they think it's just a small bit of information, it may be the lead that we need to break this.
Ben said they're not looking to out undocumented people who come forward, but I can understand their hesitation in doing so because you never know. They could just be saying,
"Oh, we're not looking to deport you," and then bam, the second people tell the police when they know, the witnesses are getting sent away.
Another big hole in solving this case is the lack of evidence, which is primarily due to the storm that night that washed water through the creek.
But the authorities apparently have a little bit of DNA evidence they were able to gather from the scene.
They've been holding on to it for years, and in 2021, they announced plans to send it off to a lab for testing.
Arlington police said they'll be testing the DNA sample with the hope that experts will be able to develop a DNA profile they can use to track down the suspect.
As of now, the evidence hasn't been described publicly, and no updates have been released in the testing process. During a fairly recent press conference, Amber's mom, Donna, gave this message. "To Amber's killer, I'm asking you today, please turn yourself in. Give Amber justice. Amber needs justice, deeply needs justice. And to anyone who has seen or heard anything about Amber's case, please come forward."
Now, as sad as all of this is, Amber's case caused a huge breakthrough that would help solve future cases involving missing children.
One winter in 1996, a woman named Diane Simone was watching the news. They ran a story about Amber's abduction and even played this heartbreaking video of the little girl beaming with happiness when she opened her Christmas presents that included a Barbie doll and a new pink bike.
The same one she was yanked off of in January. As Diane watched the clip of Amber joyfully riding her bike while smiling and waving at the camera, she knew there was something that could be done to help find kids when they go missing.
Being a mother herself, Diane felt for Donna, who was living every parent's worst nightmare. She noticed the lack of information played a big role in Amber's abductor getting away with it and remaining unknown. Diane recalled, "They were saying Amber was taken at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, thrown in a pickup truck, and driven somewhere, and that nobody saw anything."
I'm sorry, that's not possible. The problem was not that people didn't see them, it's that they didn't know what they were seeing.
And that's when it hit her. If radio and news stations sent out bad weather and civil defense alerts, couldn't they do the same thing for abducted children? Those alerts interrupt TV and radio stations and now blare out on cell phones.
By sending out a similar alert for abducted children, it would raise immediate awareness for the incident and urge locals to keep their eyes peeled for the missing child, their abductor, or the vehicle they were taken in.
Diane then contacted her local radio station in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and pitched them her idea.
Which is absolutely brilliant in my honest opinion.
Let's just take a moment to recognize how badass and smart moms are.
You go, Diane.
The radio station listened to Diane's idea and also thought it was super smart.
How had no one thought of this before?
Broadcasters then partnered with local law enforcement to set up a system where the police communicate these abductions to the news and radio stations and they run alerts.
This system became known as the Amber Alert System.
Amber stands for America's Missing Broadcast Emergency Response,
and it was named after Amber Hagerman.
Since 1996, the system was introduced across the country and now all 50 states use it. Basically, when a missing child is reported, local authorities determine if it meets certain criteria. If it does, they blast a report to broadcasters and state transportation agencies, and that's when you get all sorts of notifications on your TV, phone, car radio, etc.
There are even some digital billboards that will post the case details. After the Amber Alert system was put in place, experts have reported that over 1,000 kids were found safe because of it.
Here are some success stories. In May of 2013, a brother and sister were snatched in Massachusetts.
An Amber Alert was issued with the known details, and soon enough, a truck driver spotted the car reported in the alert. He called the police and told them where the car was.
Officers were able to track it down, and when they lifted up some blankets and pillows in the back seat, there were the missing children.
Thankfully, alive and healthy.
That same month, a car was stolen from a Georgia daycare. Inside that car was a 1-year-old little girl. Using security footage, the police were able to see what the suspect looked like, and they sent that information out in an Amber Alert as well as a description of the car.
The following morning, a local resident noticed this car that had been parked outside all night and realized it matched the description of the stolen car with the baby in it. They called the police, and the baby was rescued and reunited with her family.
OMG, and listen to this one. So a dude named John was babysitting this kid named Ronnie when he got an Amber Alert. As he was looking at it, he read the name Ronnie
and realized the kid he was babysitting was the one reported missing.
How crazy is that? Apparently, Ronnie was taken by his grandma, who attacked and restrained his mom, aka her daughter.
She asked John to watch this kid and casually left off the part about her stealing the child.
Once he put it all together, John notified the police, who safely got Ronnie away from his crazy grandma. And if it weren't for that Amber Alert, John may have never realized Ronnie was a stolen child until it was too late.
So all you people at home, please don't turn those alerts off on your phone. As jarring as they might be, they could save a life.
As soon as you hear or see an Amber Alert, read the case details and pay close attention to your surroundings. Think of it as the state commissioning you as a freelance detective, if you will.
Amber's mom, Donna, is so grateful for the new innovation, but expressed the name of it to be bittersweet. She said, "There's another part of me that wonders what would have happened if we would have had the alert when Amber went missing. Could it have helped bring her back to me? A question we'll never know the answer to."
Gosh, I really hope Amber's case is solved soon. It will at least give Donna, her family, and the town of Arlington that much more closure. So Killer Bites fam, what are your thoughts on the case?
Do you think Amber was abducted by a local, or was she taken by someone passing through?
I just can't believe the whole thing happened within 8 minutes of leaving her grandma's house. I don't even think I could eat these apple pie hot dogs in 8 minutes, so you know that guy moved fast. Well, thanks for watching everyone. I'll see you next crime.